Hello, my name is Houston, and this is Media Mood Board. Today we're going to be going through some games you should keep your eyes out for in 2025. Yes, my name's Houston, and this is Media Mood Board, a show about hyper-specific entertainment lists. Well, 2025 in games terms looks set up to be a year of returns. Civilization receives its first new numbered entry since 2016, and both BioShock and Grand Theft Auto are supposedly receiving their successors, both series which have not received a new entry since 2013. A Death Stranding sequel, a new pulpy World War II game by one of the co-creators of Uncharted, and the Switch 2's got to come out this year, right? That means a potential new 3D Mario, and maybe even that Metroid Prime they've been talking about. But beyond these anticipated, sequels and next part of a franchise, across the board there is a theme, and it's something that makes me really excited. Artsy sci-fi. I'm the type of guy, I love my wahoos, but when games are story-based, I like them more on the literary fiction side of things than the popcorn blockbuster side of things. So I'm super pumped. Looks like there's going to be a lot of juicy things to chew on this year, and I just want to highlight a few of them in case that might be your vibe too. Just a disclaimer, type of stuff that won't be on this list are things that are more blockbustery, that are going for that huge wide appeal rather than something a little bit more thinky. So things like Outer Worlds 2 and the new Marvel game that's coming out. I think I'll enjoy both of those, and I consider both of them sci-fi. But for the purposes of this list, it didn't exactly fit the specifications I was going for. Let's get into the list.
Wake up, sleeper. We're in trouble. Lane's closing in, and we need this next contract to go right. But nothing's gone right so far.
Starting our list off here with the most obvious choice, Citizen Sleeper 2 is a follow-up to the award-winning Citizen Sleeper, a tabletop-inspired visual novel with RPG elements. In it, you take on the role of a man on the run from a corporation who's chasing him through the vastness of space. He's sold his body to a corporation back on Earth, and his consciousness is currently inside a robot. He's skipped town, the corporation wants his property back, and it's not an easy thing hiding out when your body is manufactured with forced obsolescence in mind. The gameplay is that each day you're given a certain number of dice based on your health and restfulness, which you then roll and apply your rolls to different tasks throughout the spaceship, whether it's working at the shipyard, delivering food, talking to a friend, etc. It's a game with a bunch of different timers and buckets and making choices. The first game was all about building out the ecosystem of a single city-sized spaceship and filling and fleshing out the characters living in that world. 2 seems to be expanding to that world to a much larger canvas, and I can't wait to see what worlds they have in store.
To thousands of American lives lost in the last 2 months alone.
You cannot estimate the spread of radiation.
After the abolishment of nuclear power, old mining complexes were reopened across
To reduce our international affairs and focus on our own country.
Phoenix Corporation representatives assure the walls were built for our own safety.
For a reverse scenario from Citizen Sleeper, we're getting Replaced, a gorgeously rendered cyberpunk action side-scroller about an AI trapped in a human body. A really stellar-looking genre piece, the world of Replaced is divided into the super rich and the super poor, and a mystery unfolds across this which reveals the nooks and crannies of the city. The developers credit the Batman Arkham games as their inspiration for the combat, so expect a crunchy brawler with gorgeous set pieces. Feels like it might be a bit pulpy to include on this list, but with visuals like this, I'm putting my faith that the world building will match the execution.
What if you could change the decisions you regret in your life and see the outcomes of those choices with your very own eyes?
Coming out the same year as the thematically similar movie, Mickey 17, The Alters is a narrative base-building game about a space miner whose ship crashes, killing everyone but him and forcing him to try and survive on an alien planet alone. In order to survive, he's forced to use some tech that's been left salvageable to create alters, alternate versions of himself that made different decisions in life and thus are completely different people. As he tries to survive this environment that's uninhabitable for humans, he is forced to also confront all the decisions and regrets he's ever had in his life. Gameplay-wise, this is the Frostpunk guys in their element, making a base builder in a hostile sci-fi setting. But all your goons inform the main character, so it seems like a really fun use of the genre.
I don't remember when it happened, but I remember how I felt. Father told us to hide when they came to our house. Then they took him away.
Hell Is Us is an exploration-focused action game set in a post-apocalyptic European alternate reality where alien-like beings have ravaged the Earth and wander around its overgrown rubble. You play a character navigating the world with just a sword and their drone. It looks like a Death Stranding Souls-like, but by all reports, it's something else entirely. A game interested in compelling you to search out the world and its secrets. There are no traditional maps whatsoever, or waypoints, as you traverse the world and try to help out what's left of humanity. And speaking of Death Stranding... Set in a world where dangerous invisible creatures from the afterlife had started to seep into the living world, the people of Earth now live in isolated colonies underground and rely on delivery people to keep everyone's lives moving. These delivery people can survive above ground due to technology that allows them to be hooked up to a newborn child, a beam close to the veil, which allows the delivery people to see the creatures from the afterlife. The first game revolves around one such of these delivery people on their normal rounds, who slowly gets pulled into a conspiracy. The follow-up looks like we're years in the future, and much like Citizen Sleeper, the MO is extending the canvas. Death Stranding 1 was about America. Death Stranding 2 seems to be a grander scale. The gameplay in the first one was super fun, a walking sim with a co-op-style sense of things. It's about balancing packages and navigating rough terrain. It makes climbing a hill feel as satisfying as a boss battle. Hopefully 2 is more of the same. To stay in this vein just a little longer, Cairn is an upcoming survival climbing sim with no UI. It's just you and your robot companion puzzling your way to the top of this mountain. There have been a handful of climbing games which have gotten some buzz in the last few years, Jusant most notably, and this one may be the one to fully break through. Not much info about the plot out there, but the studio has a history of games with multiple endings, so I'm very curious to see how this integrates.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. Say hi back.
Of course they know.
What if I told you that every word you say is being recorded? Every thought you've ever had? They're lost.
A spiritual successor to the BioShock series, directed by Mr. BioShock himself, Ken Levine, Judas tells the story of a political struggle aboard a multi-generational space flight from Earth to a distant planet. The ship is run by 3 captains, and immediately before the game begins, they've each discovered that they are none of them human, but robots. Each collapses into an existential crisis, and the ecosystem of the whole ship is thrown into chaos. It's your role to help or hinder throughout the ship, building out the story of the society with your actions. A first-person shooter in the vein of BioShock is not exactly my bag gameplay-wise, but I love me a robot story. And finally, the next immersive sim by the Cruelty Squad creator enters early access this year. It's the same hyper-modern surreal vibes, but this time it's, I quote, a mecha FPS hybrid policing and punishment simulator set in the decayed state of Pan-Europa. You play as an officer in the European Federal Police, a V-Stalker pilot of Psycho Patrol, a special unit tasked with counter-psychohazard operations and neural meltdown prevention. I saw a post on the creator's Instagram, which might have been a joke or it might not have been, where he was showing off how quests work. So I would expect some still immersive simi stuff, but a wider scope than what was attempted in Cruelty Squad. It's in early access, but I think it still deserves a shout out. There's one of 3 things that will happen at the end of this year. 1, I'll be tired of these style of stories. 2, I'll just want more of them. Or 3, I won't play any of them. 3's not very likely. I'm going to at least play some of these. Are there any sci-fi games that I missed that you're excited about coming this year? Leave it down in the comments below. If you liked what you saw here, you can follow Media Mood Board on Letterboxd or Goodreads or just right here on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back next week with another hyper-specific entertainment list. My name is Houston. This is Media Mood Board. Bye.